This learning target for day 2 is on combining fractions and decimals. Some of you may have been wondering why we learned LCM. Combining fractions is the application of LCM when you find the common denominator, and that is our first step in combining fractions. And the reason we need a common denominator is, for example, let's say we have 1/4 plus 2/3. What that means is that if I had a pizza, one of which is split into fourths, and the other one that is split into thirds, I can't combine those because they're not the same size. They don't represent the same fraction of the pizza. So we need to divide them into the same size slices before we can answer definitively how much pizza we ate. We have 1/4 of one and 2/3 of another. Then we need to change our numerator accordingly. So here, the least common multiple of 4 and 3 is 12. So I would have to split each pizza into 12 pieces. So cutting the fourths further, as well as cutting the thirds further. And remember, initially I had 1/4 and 2/3. Not that up. So now that it is split into 12ths, for my first one I have 1, 2, 3 12ths. And for my second one I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 12ths. So we have to make sure that all of those pieces that were initially shaded when we had 1/4 and 2/3, we're still getting all of them. So make sure you change your numerator the same way that you change your denominator. And then we add or subtract our numerators, leaving the denominator the same. Remember, the denominator represents how many pieces our pizza is cut into. That doesn't change. What changes is the amounts that I'm combining, which is what the numerators represent. So if we counted all of our slices from both pizzas, we would have 11/12ths of a pizza that we ate. And then finally, we have to make sure that our answer is in simplest form, meaning that there are no common factors between the numerator and the denominator. So we will use our GCF to divide that out. In this case, 11/12ths is simplified. Combining decimals. Combine numbers with the same place value. That is it. Most of you learned how to combine decimals by lining up the decimal point and adding top to bottom. I'm going to show you a little bit different method today. Alright, so learning target number 4, day 2, I can combine fractions and decimals. So we're going to go through a few more examples. Again, find the least common multiple of your denominators. We need a common denominator. The least common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. So I like to jot my fractions down with that common denominator and then go back and think about the numerators. I multiplied 4 by 5, so I need to do the same thing to my numerator. Look at that fraction that I just set up, 5 divided by 5. What does that equal? Hopefully you came up with 1, and whenever you multiply something by 1, you aren't actually changing the value. So think about how we split the pizza into more pieces, but that doesn't mean we ate more pizza. So I'm going to multiply 3 by 5 to get 15 for my numerator. And over on my second fraction, I multiplied my 5 by 4. So I do the same thing to my 6 and get 24. 15 minus 24 gives me a -9. Leave the denominator alone. That represents how many pieces it is sliced into. And then check to make sure that you have no common factors between your numerator and denominator. And there is no number that goes into 9 and 20. 2 7s plus 1 9. Least common multiple of 7 and 9 happens to be 63, which is 7 times 9 because they have no common factors. So I'm multiplying this by 9 over 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Multiply by 7 over 7. 18 plus 7 gives me 25. The only factors of 25 are 5, and since 63 does not end in a 5 or a 3, they do not have any common factors. Sorry, I think I said 5 or 3. 5 or a 0 would be divisible by 5. We'll do one more fraction one, looking at an application. So Kaya's baking some muffins and cupcakes. She needs 3/4 cups of flour for her muffins and 2/3 cups for the cupcakes. So we want to know how much flour does she need. all together. All together typically means we're going to be adding. Sorry, got that wrong. Alright, so again, finding our common denominator. 4 and 3 both go into 12. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 3 times 4 gives me 12. 2 times 4 gives me 8. So I need 17 12 cups of flour. Typically, I would ask that you leave your fractions in improper form, but when it's context of the problem, 17 12 cups of flour doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we will go ahead and change this into a mixed number. 12 goes into 17 one whole time. 17 minus 12 is 5, so we have 5 12ths left over. So she would need 1 and 5 12ths cups of flour. Make sure you label your answer whenever you're given a word problem